and then said Serge Ibaka. He was immediately challenged about forgetting someone. I'm forgetting someone, Durant asked, after being reminded of Westbrook. He said, oh, expletive, I'm tripping. Russ, yeah, I did forget about Russ. Russ would definitely be in the top 5. I'm glad you called me out on that. Stephen A., was this just an honest mistake by Kate?
No, I don't believe that. And I'm not trying to call Kevin Durant dishonest or anything like that. I'm not trying to attack the brother. I just don't believe him in this particular situation. I don't believe that you forget a Russell Westbrook when you picked Serge Ibaka. Now, if you sat up there and you said Steph, Clay, and Draymond, along with Harden and Kyrie, okay, then that, because you got those two playing with you now, then that makes sense. But to sit up there and to forget Russell Westbrook, but remember Serge Ibaka, stop it. I don't believe that for 1 second. I believe he knew exactly what he was doing. At the end of the day, let's face reality. Kevin Durant was very, very protective. Like the second to last year, he was there with Russell Westbrook. Last year, he decided to leave, obviously feeling like he couldn't win a championship without Russell Westbrook, even though he never said so publicly. Certainly, a lot of his surrogates and others have said so on his behalf. Many of whom I know personally that told me the same exact thing. Stephen A., you can't get on Kevin Durant when I called it the weakest move that I ever seen by a superstar for him to go to Golden State, and people misconstrued it for trying to say that I didn't think he could play. No, I was saying he is so great. That's why he should not have joined that squad, because they were a bomb squad without him. But in the end, I was called on many occasions by many people at that particular moment in time when they were saying he wasn't going to win the championship with Russell Westbrook. You couldn't win the championship with Russell Westbrook. That's what they were saying. Okay, and then obviously when they played against each other the first time, they went at each other and we saw them talking to each other and all of that other stuff. And KD's grown up and he's just not going to talk about his former teammate that way. We all know that Russell is real. Russell don't have a fake bone in his body. He's going to tell you what he means if he chooses to, and he's going to mean what he says, and that's fine. But nevertheless, Kevin Durant didn't feel he could win with Russell Westbrook. And Russell Westbrook, from the stories that I was told back then, Russell Westbrook has always been a man's man. Kevin Durant came there as a relative kid, wanted to play video games and stuff like that. And, Russell Westbrook paying his own bills. And, I remember one time somebody joked that KD didn't even know where an ATM machine was, for crying out loud. I don't know whether that's true or not. But these are the kind of things that they were saying to draw the distinction between Russell Westbrook, the grown man, and KD, who was the better player, but still considered a kid. So when you hear stories like that, and then you see how their relationship ultimately ended, there is no question in my mind. And I like that podcast he was on. I've seen those guys before, and I think they do a hell of a job. But I don't give a damn what Kevin Durant said in this particular situation. There is no way in hell that you forgot Russell Westbrook, but remember Serge Ibaka. And Kevin Durant gave it some thought. He thought about it and thought about it. And then obviously when they brought up Russell, Kevin Durant said, I appreciate you calling me out for that. You're right to call me out on that. No way Russ shouldn't have been on the list. Yeah, Russ is on the list. As a matter of fact, I put him ahead of Clay, blah, blah. Well, that's a damn lie, too, because nobody that knows basketball would put Russell Westbrook ahead of Klay Thompson. And Russell Westbrook is going to the Hall of Fame. One of the most athletic point guards to ever play the game. But Klay Thompson, one of the top 5 shooters in the history of basketball, all right? And an elite defender when healthy, and a 3-time champion. No, you're not picking Russell Westbrook ahead of Klay Thompson. So I don't think that's true either.
Hold up. We disagree about a lot with this one. Stephen A. Mm-hmm. KD was asked on the $1 Million Worth of Game podcast, name the top 5 teammates, best teammates you ever played with, 5, right? He said Kyrie, that came right out. Mm-hmm. And he said James. And he said Steph. Mm-hmm. And he said Clay. And then he thought for a while, he said Ibaka. Right? Now, it sounds suspicious. Hold up. Where's Westbrook? As soon as they brought it up, he goes, oh, you're right. You're right to call me out on that. I'm glad. And basically saying, because if this passes and no one calls me out on it, now I got to deal with it. It was just an oversight. And then the interesting thing to me was he puts Westbrook 4th. Now, I understand why I put him ahead of Clay. Clay's never been in an MVP conversation. Westbrook has multiple seasons been in an MVP conversation. Clay can shoot in a way, Clay is one of the greatest shooters of all time. Westbrook can't shoot. But Westbrook can do a lot of things that Clay can't do. Like Westbrook at his best, if he wasn't a 5-star player, was 4.5 plus. Clay has never been considered a 5-star player, like an MVP caliber player. So I understand that. What was interesting to me, the news to me, was he put 3 dudes definitely ahead of Westbrook because he said, I put him ahead of Clay 4th. Does that mean I'd like some clarification? Kyrie is 1, Harden's 2, Steph is 3, according to KD. It's just interesting to know how he's thinking about it. But I could see, to me, the news is Westbrook's 4th. He played with Westbrook in Westbrook's prime, right? He puts Kyrie, Harden, and Steph ahead of him. It's not news that he puts Westbrook, when he was an MVP level player, ahead of Clay. So that's 1. 2, can I buy that it was just he just overlooked them? I can. Stephen A., I've been asked, present company excluded, right? So I've been asked in the past, who's the best host you've worked with? I'm talking about like in a 2-man situation or a 2-person situation where I was the analyst and the other person was the host. And at different times, I might answer Bob Costas, Jim Lampley, or Brian Kenny, right? And they're all great. But at different times, depending how I'm thinking about it, I just may forget to put one of their names on the list, even if I'm ranking them, right? Or if someone said, great hosts at ESPN who I haven't worked with professionally on a show other than doing segments, I might say Mike Greenberg. That doesn't mean I don't think there are other guys there. It just means that's what comes to mind in that moment. So when KD got called out on it, I know why you're saying it, Stephen A., because he's thinking about it, and then says, Ibaka, what, you overlooked Westbrook? It's possible. It can happen. And judging by his reaction when they called him on it, the way he cleaned it up, I believe it was just an oversight. The news to me was 4th. He puts Westbrook 4th. He's saying definitively, Kyrie, Harden, and Steph, better players than Westbrook. That's the news to me.
Okay. I don't believe him. Did I stutter? I just want to make sure. Am I stuttering? Did I say something that would leave you confused to my position? I don't believe him. I highlighted the history that involves the both of them. I took into account what I saw because I watched the segment on the podcast. Okay. And I also brought up Serge Ibaka, Kyrie, Harden, Clay, Steph, and Ibaka. Really?
Who doesn't fit?
Really? There's something that's very, very glaring where it doesn't fit. That would be it.
You think he's trying to say Ibaka's better than Westbrook?
What I'm trying to say to you is that, again, because they asked, I guess what the question was, your top 5 teammates. Your top 5 teammates, man. I wouldn't even listen, I like Ibaka a lot, and I think Ibaka's going to help the Clippers if he gets healthy. He's a champion. I have a lot of respect for Ibaka. But if I had to pick, I would have understood if you picked Draymond over Ibaka. Ibaka? Come on now. All I'm trying to say to you is that I don't buy it. Again, I'm not trying to, listen, I'm only responding to what he did on the podcast. I'm not trying to cause no trouble here, nothing like that. I don't particularly care, to be quite honest with you. Excuse me. Because I don't want to get into anything in regards to Russell or Russell Westbrook or KD. But we know the history. And listen, you also hear a lot. Listen, Russell Westbrook is throwing up triple doubles again, like it's going out of style, which brings me back to what was controversial a couple of weeks ago, which to me had no business being controversial. I didn't mean to say, oh my goodness, I don't care about his triple doubles like they, you know what? Who cares? What's the big deal about a triple double? No, I'm saying for him, because he's Russell Westbrook and he's such a great talent. We're accustomed to seeing this. Okay, we got it. You're a walking triple-double. Nobody's been able to do that since Oscar Robertson. You've cemented that reality. When you going to win the championship or come close to it again? Because I don't want to see Russell Westbrook 13 games under 500, even though the Wizards are coming on strong now, and that's no longer the case, and they're trying to get in that play-in. I get all of that. But that's what I was talking about. You don't want to just look at him and his numbers. You want to look at him and say he's in a winning situation, and he has a lot to do with the team winning. When it came to him and KD, he was considered the reason that KD hadn't won a championship.
I think.
And then KD himself validated it by going to play with another point guard in Steph Curry. So I'm just saying we can't ignore that. We can't ignore that.
Something I'm not going to ignore.
Ibaka That's the name you come up with. Harden. I'm gonna close it by saying this, Max. Kyrie, James Harden, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, and Serge Ibaka.
Like that
But
old
you
Sesame
forgot
Street
about
game.
Russell
Which
Westbrook.
one of us isn't the same?
Man. Come on, man. You know, I mean, I was born at night, not last night. Come on, man.
Stephen A.
Come on, man.
The news so far today from this conversation is actually that Stephen A. Smith thinks that no one would believe that Westbrook could be put ahead of Klay Thompson. You know, that there is news here, but it's not that he's trying to throw shade at Westbrook. It's KD puts Westbrook 4th on that list, and you put him 5th, apparently.
Yeah, but it's not a big deal to me. What I'm trying to say to you is that even though that's your big deal, to me, I'm just saying that Klay Thompson, we look at Klay and his shooting ability, but, you know, we pay attention. You got to pay attention. Also, he's an elite defender. At 6'7", he's capable of guarding at least 3 positions. We know what he is as a shooting guard / small forward. The dude is one of the elite shooters, top 5 as far as I'm concerned, that we've ever seen in NBA history. Klay Thompson is that kind of sniper. That's why I would pick him. I can rely on him from the perimeter more than I can rely on Russell Westbrook. I can rely on him on the defensive end more than I can rely on Russell Westbrook, and I can rely on him from the free throw line more than I can rely on Russell Westbrook. Yeah, he's more athletic, but in terms of efficiency, I think that Klay Thompson's ahead of Russell Westbrook. I'm not knocking Russell Westbrook. I'm just saying I would put him ahead. The issue to me is not that big between those two. The issue to me is the fact that you said you forgot about Russell Westbrook, but you remembered Serge Ibaka.
But why would he clean it up right as soon as they bring it up?
Because he knows this is going to happen. What's happening with me and you now?
But he knew it when